Good morning, dear students. Welcome you all. Today we will start a new chapter of history. The chapter name is Devotional Paths to the Divine. In this chapter, we will study about different movements, bhakti movements, and about the lives of saints, and the different ways to get dignity, to get salvation. So before starting the chapter, we have to know about the answer of these introductory questions that are written on the board. These questions will check your understanding skill, that how much do you know about the chapter. Come on the questions and try to get the answer of the questions. What do you know about the term deity? First question. The second question is, what do you understand by the term hagiography? Third question is, what do you mean by the title Devotional Paths to the Divine? Dear student, the first question is, what do you know about the term deity? Deity is a common word. Deity means God and goddesses. God and goddesses. This is a common word, common noun, we can say that, for God and goddesses. The second question is, what do you understand by the term hagiography? Hagiography means hagiography is about writing of saints' lives. Hagiography is about the saint's life, in which we get the information about the saints' lives. Understand? And the third question is, what do you mean by the title Devotional Paths to the Divine? So this question answer will be discussed in the starting of this chapter. I hope that you will get the information from the chapter. So you have to enjoy the chapter and try to know about the chapter. Dear student, the chapter name is Devotional Paths to the Divine. Devotional paths to get divine. Understand? To get salvation, we can say it. So in this chapter, we know that we have seen people perform rituals of worship or singing bhajans, kirtans, qawwalis, or even we have seen people repeating the name of God in silence. And notice that some of them are moved to tears. Understand? Such intense devotion or love of God is the legacy of various kinds of bhakti and Sufi movement. Understand? So we have got, by these bhakti and Sufi movement, we show devotion to the God, Supreme God, by these way, bhajan, kirtan, singing. Or some people, we get that are too devoted that we get tears in their eyes. So now we start the first subtopic. The first subtopic is the idea of a supreme God. Dear student, you know that before large kingdoms emerged, different groups of people worshipped their own gods and goddesses. Understand? Firstly, people were worshipping their own gods and goddesses before kingdoms emerged, and people were brought together through the growth of towns. When the towns developed, trade and empires had been developed, so new ideas began to develop on that time. And the new idea is that the idea that all living beings pass through countless cycles of birth and rebirth, performing good deeds and bad come to be widely accepted. Means that we people go through the chain of the cycle of birth and rebirth again and again. So we know that we also get on that time some people were not treated equally. Birth gained during that period. The belief that social privilege came from a birth in a noble family or a high caste was the subject of many learned texts. In many learned texts, we get that people who born in high family, high class, in high caste, they will be in highly status people, and those who have been born in low caste, they will be low caste people. And we can get these things in many learned texts in scriptures. Understand? So many people were uneasy with such idea and turned to the teaching of Buddha or the Jainas. People went towards Buddhism and Jainism. Understand? To break the cycle of birth and rebirth by personal effort, people adopted Jainism and Buddhism. Others people felt attracted to the idea of Supreme God. Supreme God means one God who deliver humans from such bondage if approached with devotion of a bhakti. So people went towards the Supreme God, they adopted that God is one. And in the Bhagavad Gita, we get that this idea has been advocated in the Bhagavad Gita in early century. Here we get that we have to believe in one God, Supreme God. In Hindu religion, Shiva, Vishnu and Durga as supreme deities came to be worshipped through elaborate rituals. Understand? Local myths and legends became a part of the Puranic stories in Puran. Understand? So we get that on that time Purana also laid down that it was possible for devotees to receive the grace of God regardless of their caste status. In the other hand, in other holy scriptures, Vedas, we get that only high caste people read Vedas. Understand? And low caste were not allowed. But in Puran, there is no foundation, and everyone, irrespective of their caste, creed and gender, color, they will worship the God. Understand? So the idea of bhakti became a popular that even Buddhists and Jainas adopted these beliefs of Puranas. Understand? Puran. The second subtopic is a new kind of bhakti in South India, Nayanars and Alvars. Nayanars, those who believe in Shiva, and Alvars, those who believe in Vishnu. Understand? So a new kind of bhakti in South India, Nayanars and Alvars. Nayanars saints devoted to Shiva and Alvars saints devoted to Vishnu, who came from all castes including those considered untouchable like the Pulaiyar and the Panars. Unlike the Panars, untouchable Pulaiyar and Panars, they were sharply, means that who were sharply, Nayanars were sharply critical. Nayanars and Alvars, they were sharply critical to the Buddhist and Jainas and preached ardent love of Shiva and Vishnu as the path to salvation. According to Nayanars and Alvars, Shiva is the supreme God and Shiva and Vishnu are the supreme God, and they are the path to salvation. They drew upon the ideas of love and heroism as found in Sangam literature. Understand? We get that Nayanars And Alvars went from place to place, composing beautiful poems in praise of the deities, god and goddesses. Deities means Shiva and Vishnu. Enshrined in the village they visited and set them to music. They set music, they compile songs in praise of Shiva and Vishnu. They went village to villages. Understand? We get that there were 63 Nayanas who belonged to different caste backgrounds such as potters, untouchable, workers, peasants, hunters, soldiers, understand, Brahmanas and chiefs. And the best known among them were untouchable caste, Apar, Sambandar, Sundarar and Mani Vakka Sagar. Understand? Mani Vakka Sagar. And their song composition were Tevram and Tiruvakkam. Understand? Their song compilation. So different caste background people we get in Nayanar's group. They were 63. There were 12 Alvars who came from equally different backgrounds, and among them best known was Perivalar, his daughter Andal, Tondra Dipodi Alvar and Nama Alvar. Understand? And Nama Alvar. And their songs were Divya Prabandham. Understand? Afterward we get that hagiography. What do you understand by the term hagiography? Hagiography means writing of saints' lives. Understand? So we get that the 10th and 12th century, in the 10th and 12th centuries, the Cholas and Pandyas king built elaborate temples and around many of the shrines visited by the saints poet. And when the saints and poets went there, this were strengthening the links between the bhakti tradition and temple worship. Understand? So temple tradition, bhakti tradition and temple worship. We get that beside hagiography means writing of saints' life, our religious biographies of the Alvars and Nayanas were also composed. Understand? And these are the source of bhakti tradition. The devotee and the Lord. We get that the composition of Manikabba Sagar, who was Nayanars, they were Nayanars. Understand? This is a composition of Manikabba Sagar. In the composition we get that Manikabba Sagar, they were the devotees of Shiva's. We get the composition, beautiful composition of them. The next subtopic is philosophy of bhakti. We get that Sankara, one of the most influential philosopher of India, Shankaracharya, which we know, was born in Kerala in the 8th century. He was an advocate of Advait, or the doctrine of oneness of the individual soul and the supreme God, which is the ultimate reality. According to Sankara, the ultimate reality is that individual soul and the supreme God, they are both one, Advait, in Advait. Understand? And the term Dvait means two. They are two, individual soul and supreme God, they are different. Understand? He taught that Brahman, the only, are the ultimate reality. Understand? And according to him, the world the world around us to be an illusion. Illusion means we can say that delusion or Maya, and he preached renunciation to leave home, the world, and adoption of the path of knowledge to understand the true nature of Brahman and attain salvation. According to him, to leave the world to get the salvation. Afterward, we get the another saint. After that, we get the another saint Ramanuj, who was born in Tamil Nadu. Ramanuja, who was born in Tamil Nadu. Understand? So here we get that Ramanuja was born in Tamil Nadu in the 11th century, and he was deeply influenced by the Alvars. Alvars means according to him, he had intense devotion to Vishnu, and Vishnu in his grace helps the devotee to attain the bliss of union with him. According to him, Vishnu is the ultimate reality, and anyone can get salvation to be devoted to the Vishnu. Understand? Afterward, he also propounded the doctrine of Visishta Advait. Understand? According to Visishta Advait or qualified oneness, he also accepted Advait of Shankaracharya, but in that the soul, even when, according to him, when individual soul united with the Supreme God remained distinct, something different will be. Understand? So people were greatly inspired by Ramanuja philosophy, and we get that inspired, which developed in North India. Understand? Afterward, the next subtopic is Vasavarna's Vira Saivism. Vasavarna Vira Saivism developed in Karnataka, and this movement, Vira Saiva movement, initiated by Vasavarna and his companions like Alamma Prabhu and Akka Mahadevi. Understand? This movement began in Karnataka in the mid 12th century of all human beings and against Brahminical ideas about caste and the treatment of women. They were against the Brahminical ideas, and according to them all human beings are equal. They did not accept the rules that are made by Brahmanas according to Vedas. They were also against all forms of ritual and idol worship. They were also against to rituals and idol worship. The next subtopic is the saints of Maharashtra. Student, you know that from the 13th to the 17th century, Maharashtra saw a great number of saint poets whose songs in simple Marathi continue to inspire Marathi people. The most important among them were Janeshwar, Namdev, Eknath, Tukaram, as well as women like Sakkubai and the family of Chokha Mela. Understand? Who belong to the Chokha Mela and the family of Chokha Mela, who belong to the untouchable caste, Mehar caste. This regional tradition of bhakti focused on the Vitthalas, a form of Vishnu, temple in Pandharpur. Understand? As well as the saints of Maharashtra, they worshipped Vithala as a form of Vishnu. Understand? And among them we get Chokha Mela, the untouchable caste from Mehar caste, the saints of that time, saints of the Maharashtra. And these saints, poets, rejected all forms of ritualism, outward display, piety and social differences based on birth. They did not accept the rituals, all forms of ritualism, outward display which we saw, and piety and social difference. They did not accept social differences based on birth, caste and gender. They also rejected the idea of renunciation and preferred to live with their families. They preferred to live with their families, not to leave the world, to live in the family and worship to the God. A new humanist idea emerged as they insisted that bhakti, according to the saints of Maharashtra, they felt that to share the pain of other is the great religion. As the famous Gujarati saint Narsi Mehta said, they are Vaishnavas who understand the pain of others. According to Narsi Mehta, we have to remember that according to Narsi Mehta, the Vaishnavas who understand the pain of others. Understand? They are the Vaishnavas. And here we are getting, this is an Abhang. Abhang means Marathi devotional hymn, bhajan. Sant Tukaram. Tukaram had written on questioning on the social order. We get his famous Abhang in Marathi language, devotional hymn, which we say bhajan. So I hope that you have understood all this clearly. Thanks for watching the video.